And you might just think, oh my God, it's all about me. It's all about my nerves. And it's not. It's about that one person in the audience who is going to be changed and moved and really something's going to hit home for them in that audience. That is who it's for.
So welcome to Who's Elvis Round Here. This podcast is devoted to unpick what it is that as leaders we can do to release the genius of our people. And today I am joined by the fantastic Scott Ransome, who I fell in love with through the internet somehow. I can't even remember how, Scott, but I just like the vibe and everything you were saying was connecting with me. So it's great to have you on.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about who you are so people get a bit of a vibe for your energy and what you do?
Yeah. Hello, Chris. Thanks very much for having me. Very grateful to be on this podcast. I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, and at the moment I specialise in helping people show up on video or in person or at work, even in life. And I do that by using the acting skills that I learned at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama and then on into a professional acting career, which then led to a career as a trainer, commercial trainer, with S3 Management Services, so full-on hardcore recruitment sales training, and I loved it. So all those things combine, and that's what I'm able to do. So
love it, and look, perfect for this podcast because when we talk about Who's Elvis, it's all about how people show up and the energy they bring, and this is what you help people tap into. So perfect to have you here. And look, I'm often asking people quite a simple opening question, which is. We all love stories, and you're a storyteller, and you teach people how to tell stories. There are certain stories we love to tell, and there are certain stories that people love to hear. I'd love to hear one of you that gives us a bit of a sense for you and business and how you approach things.
I think my first job interview in sales is a decent story. Cool. I changed careers when I was 27. I'd been a professional actor, and I changed careers for all the right reasons. We had a young family and we wanted to focus on doing that. So I had to get myself an office job. Your family's always asking you, when's your next job? What are you doing? And I decided that I would go along to some kind of graduate fair and see if I could get opportunities that way. And I did. And I got sent to this job interview for sales. And she phoned me up and arranged the interview. And she said, do you smoke? And at the time I did. So that was confirmed, and she said, "Good, because they'll only accept smokers."
How the world has changed!
I know, right? This was a total smoking environment. That's what it was. And so I got the tube. I lived in South London in Tooting, so I got the tube all the way up to Old Street. And it was before it was all gentrified around there. If you've been to Hoxton Square now, it's very, very bougie. You've just got to be elegantly hip even to be allowed in that environment. And at the time, though, in 1997, it was very much as it used to be, Old Street. And it was a curious little street. And as I walked in, there were these curious, strange humans coming down the stairs, these kind of alien-looking humans in long coats. And then a chap came down with his little dog, all this kind of energy like that. I later learned it was Alexander McQueen.
Oh, cool.
It was Alexander McQueen's atelier above this office that I then went into with a wonderful interview, very nice. Of course, we were chuffing away the whole, sharing this. And she said, she was a great lady. She said, well, it's been a really good interview, but just to finish, how am I going to remember you? And I said, well, I suppose you could remember me for my professional acting experience, or you could remember me because I'm a family man and I'm really committed to, or you could bang! Sorry if that blew the mic, but I hit the table. I banged the table. I'll do it in slow motion for you. Like, I hit the table, and she loved that. And all the while after, because I had an agent, what do you call them? A job agent or anyway, a recruitment consultant sent me, and apparently all the client could speak to her about after that was he banged the table. He banged, and she loved that, and I like that story. Sometimes I suppose in my stories I can come across a little bit unfiltered and a little bit like people would not do what I do, and I think that's fair enough. But you could look at that moment as a real Elvis moment because I was reminded of Elvis going into Sun Studios for Sam Phillips. That moment where he had to come up with something, he had to find that. Or Elvis in the 1968 comeback concert. Challenging, he's been away, he has to come back. And for me, it's about your brain going, understanding cost benefit.
Yeah.
What's going to be the benefit of this? What's going to be the cost? But ultimately, I think that you go home happy with that moment. There have been occasions where I've done something and it doesn't work and you lose your audience, and I think that's fair enough. Would you agree? But in that moment, you think, I'm going to try something here. For better or worse, I'm going to try something because I think it will go, I think it will play, I think it will work well, and then you do it, and then hopefully the benefit comes from that. Never guarantee, but it's jumping off that diving board, having a go. Why not?
I love it. And for me, we often work with leaders, and we get them to think about, well, what's needed here? And in that moment, you have to do a couple of things. Number one is tune into what's around you, what the opportunity is. And it's a great challenge, isn't it? How am I going to remember you? That you don't see that one coming. And then you've got to try some stuff out. And as you say, sometimes it doesn't work. But when it does, the cut through is enormous, right? So, it's a way to make sure you create more energy, more impact. People remember you. Scott was in the room.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll highlight again, because I think it's important. You go home happy with that.
Yeah.
Not. Sometimes you think, oh, I'll copy that. I'll copy that bit, what they're doing there. I'll copy that. I like that. You've got to try to absorb the energy of what that is, if that makes sense, without being too woo. Absorb the energy of, right, I like what they're doing there. I'm going to be bold and brave. I'm going to try that myself. You never know. It might work.
And it seems to be a consistent theme I'm picking up from leaders, talking to them. When I'm saying if there's one thing that's really important about releasing genius in people, encouraging people just to do what you did, which is take some risk, be yourself, put it out there, learn from that. If it doesn't work, reset, we'll do it again, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know you've helped lots of different people shine more brightly, become more confident, communicate better in groups. I'm really interested into what the principles are that unlock that. Have you got a story that illustrates how that can work and the impact it creates?
I think that if we look at the idea of a sales conference, I know you yourself, you do stuff with a bigger audience, over 100 people, let's just say, or people that you work with that go into a sales conference moment. That's a really interesting moment because you've got people there who are, or any business conference, who know their stuff. Yeah. They know their subject. I was at a networking event last week in Bristol. People know their subject, but then they'll go, I just hate the camera, or I just can't stand up in front of people. So fair enough, a lot of people say that. I argue it's not the best way of coping with your nerves. You could say, I'm working on that, I'm doing something about it. Anyway, that aside, when I was asked to get involved in producing sales conferences at S3, it was a great opportunity for me. It was not in my job spec whatsoever. So there we go. There's me standing up and having a go and being bold. What was nice for me is all these people who were in charge of me, now the status was slightly lowered, where I have that ability to help them bring out their story on stage. It was a physical thing, so to be there on stage. And I love that, giving people the chance to stand up because it's a wider audience. If you're a manager of the Berlin office, now all of a sudden you're projecting to the entire company who've all gathered somewhere. And that's a moment, isn't it? And you might just think, oh my God, it's all about me. It's all about my nerves. And it's not. It's about that one person in the audience who is going to be changed and moved and really something's going to hit home for them in that audience. That is who it's for. So when we got round to doing a conference that we chose to do in Amsterdam, I'll say that really slowly, a sales conference.
What could go wrong?
For recruitment consultants that we decided to do in Amsterdam. The main reason, because the Amsterdam office was so strong. Amsterdam Computer Futures was like, yes, so strong, really successful, amazing people. It's great, it's Sean Shalarish. We're all doing great work. They were really, 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 really nice people, really cool. Yeah. So we chose this place, and So straight off the bat, I've got to research venues in Amsterdam. Great job. Going round, there's a boat there, there's a venue here, and we ended up in the Baréz-Brown, which was the old, in Manchester it'd be like the Corn Exchange. I don't know what that is in London, but there's like, people used to actually physically bring their corn and whatever it was they were trading into a space. So it's this big, high vaulted, amazing place. Baréz-Brown. We chose that. We have to do the dressing. We did big dressing. So I'm working with the art department at S3, or that would be called the graphics department or whatever. So working closely with them. Working closely with the managing director, Richard Hauptmann of Computer Futures, who had given me the budget for this particular thing. Months and months of work, I would say. You know yourself, putting it together. And the speakers are really coming together. You've got to get them to start from a blank page. It's got to fit a theme. This theme was, champions. Fantastic theme, really worked. You've got to help them go from a blank page to standing up in front of 500 people. Now, you and I might go, bring me that. Yes, anytime, darling. I just do that at the drop of a hat. Some people it takes longer, and it's that way of helping them. And we get to the day, and I've been up pretty much 5 days in a row by now, and I'm there in my shorts, and I'll have to get into my MC outfit shortly for the whole gig, and we're welcoming Bill, the founder of S3, and it's a massive, massive day. It's a really big moment, and I can't remember if it was in the middle of this conference itself or just before, but I got a message from one of the sales directors, as he was just then. He was a great guy, but he just texted me and said, I can't go on. I'm not going on. And I went, all right, I'll meet you outside. And we met outside, and he normally spoke. Anyway, his voice had dropped about 3 octaves from the night before. I've no idea what he'd been up to. No idea. Couldn't possibly comment. But he was talking like that. He was I don't know what I'm doing. Broken. Yeah, it was I can't go on. I don't know what I'm doing him like that. I might as well. Anyway. And he was a bit like, I can't go on. I'm not going. I said, what? Why are you not going on? And all he could say was, I can't go on. I'm not going on. So let's just argue he had the fear. Yeah. And generally, the fear with presentation falls into a number of categories, but fear of the unknown, fear of being judged, and fear of getting it wrong. Unknown, being judged, getting it wrong. And we chatted it through. So the story I'm telling you there is one of my opportunity. You can get up and try something because you've got the skill set, you feel ready for it, and you can go for it. All you can do is fail and accept that failure is possible, and you can have your go and bring out the best in yourself. And it transformed my career at that company and then beyond. Then we get to the guy doing, all the people doing the speech. Yeah, you could bore on about how hard it is for you and how much you hate it and and it is, sorry. Or you could just try to work on one little thing. Little thing. And we get to this guy, me and him, outside the Baréz-Brown in Amsterdam with the traffic going by, and he's not going on. Now, I don't want to get all Tony Robbins. Apparently, Tony Robbins can reset you in like 15 seconds. What a magician. What a magician. Yeah. Hey, Tone, wish you'd have been there, but you weren't. You weren't available at the time, so it was just me and my dear work colleague trying to get him on. And probably what I would have said is, okay, you can have any kind of response, but if you make it all about you, then you've failed. Not failed, but you're going to fall at that point if it's just about you. Whereas if you think about your purpose, and this links to the idea of what Stanislavski would say, who am I? Where am I? What do I want? Why do I want it? How am I going to get it? And what is stopping me from getting there? I forget the 7th question. And I would probably have coached him through that, who's this for? And I would probably have said, it's for that lad, that one single person, that lad or that lady who sat there, who otherwise is going to leave the company, Lawrence. And they're going to be £1 million biller. Do you understand? And you are going to make the difference. So I tried to raise the stakes, but in terms of the message that he was bringing, not just his own nerves. I've had people shaking and quaking before they go on, and somehow they get on there. And that's it. It's a great opportunity. And he went on. I think it was a superb speech. It was his own personal story, how he'd been a window cleaner. He'd worked with his dad, who had great affection for and love for his father. And then he grew. He's a family man, you know. And he grew up and he went to Computer Futures. Where else would you get a chance like that if you're a window cleaner from Essex? And he went to Computer Futures and he made something of himself. And he's since gone on to stay with the company and to have great success. Not saying it was that speech that did it.
Yeah.
But the finish of the story is somebody came up to me and they went, that speech that Lawrence did, that made all the difference for me.
That was that person. There they were.
No word of a lie, Chris.
Yeah. So look, I think showing yourself on stage in front of your colleagues actually is often harder than it is when nobody knows you, right? Because there's more energy, there's more pressure. I completely understand why you found that hard. But it sounded like through your amazing, not Tony Robbins skills, but your very much Scott Ransome skills, you did some stuff around connecting him to why, to the people in the room. You know, connecting him to you, so he started to talk and actually just let some of those nerves go down. So that actually, instead of just having that, you know, scared response that we get when we're triggered, they get, you know, his energy starts to go out from himself, and he understands actually I could do something quite interesting here. I love the fact that you said just focus on one thing, because often, you know, in that situation, our heads are so busy, we're trying to think about all the situation, and actually that just gives us a fug and a confusion. And you're just going, no, here's the focus. There's one person there whose life you can touch, and indeed they did. But that's the focus, which actually did a nice reset.
Yeah, I agree. How do you create that connection? So at drama school, even though everyone's reasonably talented, they all have ability, they come with that. Let's say we were doing a two-hander on stage. We might physically get a piece of rope out that we held between each other. And we hold that connection between each other as we work on stage, so that we've got that energy going between us. If you're working with the camera, one thing you want to try to work out is, one, where it is. So it's there, it's not there, it's not there. So simply technically where it is. But then you could also, if you wanted to do this work, you could get a piece of string out, attach it to the camera, and almost hold that piece of string with the camera, because it's that connection that you're looking to make. You're not looking to dissipate yourself or make yourself smaller in front of this audience. You're looking for that connection with one single thing, the audience of one. It's a massive learn, and it works fantastically.
I love it. I've been a fan of you know, the skills that are learned in the arts into business for decades, because I've seen the power of it. And because it's a very specific skill, isn't it? I've got an audience and I'm going to take them somewhere different. So I need to become someone different, but I need to create the conditions for them as well to be someone different. Taking that and putting it into business, obviously, just turbocharges everything you do around comms and engagement and inspiration. Out of the world of the arts, which obviously you've got lots of experience of, you know, what's the, beyond the connection we just talked about, what's the thing that you think we could learn most from that world?
That's a massive question. I'll go to basic. I think
Great.
Your performance response, and if you map that onto psychological trauma response, or if you do the chimp paradox.
Yep.
So we know fight, flight, or freeze, don't we? We know that people might know fight or flight, they might not know freeze. People might know fight, flight, and freeze, but they might not know fawn.
Yeah.
So let's say on a compass, you're asked to do something and you fight. What does fight look like in business? You might say, "Oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't need to work on this. Everything's okay." So you're sort of, let's say you're hiding something. I'm not going to say your authentic self. So there, I've not said it. So you can fight. You can fidget. So you can fidget around, where that's where your feelings become more important than the thing you've got to do, your message. So you can force things, fight. You can fidget, you can freeze. And if you do freeze, It's totally acceptable. It's totally understandable. It happens.
Yeah.
Mainly you're freezing because you're trying to work out where the danger is. That's why you freeze. You're in the jungle, prehistorically speaking, and you hear some sort of rustle and you're freezing to work out where it's coming from. So given that you can freeze, naturally you'd be able to unfreeze, wouldn't you? Otherwise you can't cope with the saber-toothed tiger that's coming at you. And fawn, if you just want to be loved, don't get me wrong, I make a video and I think, oh, this will break me, this will be it, this will be viral. I do. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. I'm oh, I've just done a bit outside the Bristol Old Vic. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's the framing. Oh, the transit. Oh, I've cracked it this time. Everyone's going to know me now. I can't help thinking that way. But if I just did it for those reasons, if you just do it to be loved, if you're so narcissistic that it's just about you, that won't tend to wash anymore. So the one thing I would share is look at your performance response and see how you can change that 1%. Do you force things? Do you fidget a little bit? Do you freeze? Do you fawn? Do you just want that love me, love me, love me, love me? And that's your starting point. How do you move? How do you move from there? It's the same as if we're in the jungle hunting the saber-toothed tiger. It's the same.
Yeah.
So, but in the end, we would all get back to the campfire, having hunted, and we would sit around the campfire and we would listen to a story and we would tell stories to each other. So that's as old as fight or flight. It
is. And this is an area that I'm super passionate about, because learning how to go from a subconscious reaction to a conscious response, it's a life's work, right? I mean, this is not easy stuff, but it's a game changer when you can do it.
Right. Subconscious reaction to conscious response. Yeah. In general, in my world, conscious responses tend to be skill-based in my world. Can I try something, do something? But in, say, musical performance with the guitar, you go completely subconsciously because you're doing things that you didn't even know you could do. It's bonkers. You're hearing sounds out of the speaker that you think, wow, and you just stick with that. So yeah, I like that. Subconscious and conscious response. Subconscious reaction, conscious response. That's really cool. Thank you.
Well, I also love the subconscious flow state that you've just described. I mean, when you're in it, it's effortless and everything just all makes sense and clicks. And it's understanding the conditions that we need in that situation to get there. That again is the life's work. Not easy stuff to create, but we know when we've done it because everything's amazing. Yeah,
exactly. And it's very hard to recreate that. And so therefore get some training. Don't be shy about getting some training. The subconscious flow, in my night with Reg, I was lucky enough to get that part. There's one part available for a young person, and I'm there with Hugh Bonneville, I'm there with Jason Watkins, I'm there with Richard Linton. You know, this is like, you're up there, you know, in your 20s, and that character had to take his clothes off in between Act 2 and 3. It's really important for the story. My character had to do that because it's a transition of time, and I had to take all my clothes off whilst walking around the stage in front of the audience of 1,000 people. And what you realise in that sort of moment is that the fact that you can't run away is the blessing. You can't run away, and yet you have the audience. Isn't that beautiful? And that's where flow can happen. You know, you can't run away. You can't shirk your responsibility in this sports team. You can't shirk your goals and values on the sales floor because you want to achieve these things. You know, you can't run away, and that's the blessing. You could fold right there, but the fact that you choose not to, for me, is what's delicious. That flow, that eustress, I think it's called, isn't it? You can create your own positive stress in any performance. And isn't that a great thing to do? No matter what you do. You work a call center, you're a boss and you're standing up in front of everybody, you're working in a coffee shop. There's nothing I like more than when I was in full flow working behind the bar. I'm sure people will ID with that. Full flow behind the bar, and you're doing the maths in your head, and you can see the people, and you can work out the order of things. We are all capable of these things as humans. Yeah. But for some reason, when we go, okay, you're leading now, stand up,
Yeah. Then we lose that grace, that energy, that connection. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Which is why leadership I find so fascinating, because, there is a little bit of science in it, but there's a lot of art, which is why I think your approaches are so useful when it comes to unlocking the genius of people. And look, I've really enjoyed the conversation today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to whatever we do next, because my sense is our little Venn diagrams will overlap beautifully as time goes on. So let's see what adventures we can create together.
Thank you. Very grateful for this meeting. Much appreciated.
Pleasure.